How do you imagine your future? Where do you see yourself, say, in 5 years? Maybe you envision yourself landing your dream job, or perhaps you picture yourself working on a beach somewhere. I don't know about you, but I always hated that question. And if you feel you have a hard time coming up with a good answer, you may be up to something. Because the future has become very difficult to plan. We're really bad at predicting it anyway, because we envision it as linear only within the parameters that we know. Technological disruption has made planning even harder, because changes come at a larger scale and faster pace, and that scares people because they feel overwhelmed by the upheaval. The World Happiness Report that has just come out revealed that young people are increasingly feeling unhappier, and they're experiencing the equivalent of a midlife crisis. That pessimism, not just among young people, by the way, has many different reasons, but technological disruption is at its core. It doesn't help that tech CEOs paint a dystopian picture. For example, OpenAI CEO, think ChatGPT, just said that AI is the greatest threat to humanity. Tesla founder Elon Musk, that it could lead to the destruction of civilization. Economists have predicted that AI will eliminate hundreds of millions of jobs in the coming years. However, all this gloom is slightly overhyped, at least for the foreseeable future. For starters, many of those predictions will turn out to be wrong, just as so many of them have in the past. Case in point, the University of Oxford released a study in 2013 that caused quite a stir worldwide. It forecasts that over the next 20 years, computerization would destroy 50% of jobs in the US alone. Now, over a decade later, it's turned out to have been pretty off the mark, so far at least. Since its publication, the US has added millions of jobs, and unemployment is at a record low. This is just one example of countless overly pessimistic predictions. By the same token, self-driving trucks haven't destroyed the jobs of millions of truck drivers, and we're not being served by robots in restaurants. Could these jobs one day be automated? For sure, but over a longer time period while new types of jobs are being created. Moreover, just because jobs can be automated doesn't necessarily mean that they will be. There simply may not be sufficient demand because humans very clearly prefer to interact with other humans rather than machines, as was confirmed by a Pew study. The COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated this very clearly. Despite the convenience of telecommuting and video conferencing, people literally could not wait to burst out of their homes and socialize again in the real world. Also, while in many cases machines can operate autonomously, it wouldn't be socially accepted if they did. For instance, passengers wouldn't accept commercial airliners flying without pilots, at least not anytime soon. People are very well aware that machines can malfunction, and they want humans to guard them. Plus, we live in an age of fake everything, fake news, deep fakes, fake reality. Admittedly, we are susceptible to deception, but we don't like it. We yearn for the authenticity of humans, real people, real facts, and real life. The one thing that is certain is that times of fundamental change have historically not only created challenges, but also great opportunities. How then can we best prepare for these opportunities? Well, perhaps we should take a hint from the tech billionaires who shape our future. Why? What do they think is important in terms of preparations? How do titans like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Mark Zuckerberg prepare their children for the future? You might be surprised to learn that they raise their kids with as little technology as possible and send them to low-tech schools that place emphasis on personal interactions with teachers and peers. Why? Because they recognize the supreme importance of interpersonal skills. And here comes the first insight. Your human essence is irreplaceable. Therefore, the most important quality that you must possess in the age of AI is emotional intelligence, because it will be exclusive to us humans for years to come, if not forever. The reason is that algorithms cannot create our human essence, our consciousness, our souls. We cannot build machines that have emotions and feelings based on values like we do. That's why we don't connect with machines the way that we do with other humans. Aspects such as chemistry and rapport aren't mathematically quantifiable or recreatable. The best machines can do is to mimic human reactions without actually having those sentiments. We bond over shared experiences and personal reference points. That's why emotional intelligence will remain so fundamentally important. Perhaps the most obvious is the medical field. I remember a few years ago, a doctor friend of mine called me after the demonstration of new medical diagnostic software in his office. He exclaimed, "Oh my God, I'm going to be completely superfluous. These AI programs, there is no way I can make diagnoses as quickly and as precisely as these machines." Well, here we are now, a few years later, and we are not only faced with a shortage of doctors, but all sorts of medical personnel. All of us appreciate the empathy and the personal touch of a doctor, a nurse, a caretaker. Besides, nobody wants algorithms to make life and death decisions, and nobody wants robots to break bad health news to us. Moreover, like in many other fields, medical decisions aren't always clear-cut. They require human judgment and discretion. An example is IBM's Watson computer that gave treatment recommendations for cancer that turned out to be unsafe. Or take business, finance, and sales. Most interactions in these fields aren't solely rational, but they also have an emotional component. Yes, low-skilled activities in these sectors will be automated, but any type of more qualified work will continue to require humans. Dealing with business partners requires trust, customers seek personalized advice, and employees and teams need to be managed with empathy, taking into account all those human complex intricacies. All these are things that machines cannot do. And that's why your greatest competitive advantage versus machines is your being human. Therefore, you should continuously work on your interpersonal skills. And if you feel yours aren't that great, do not despair. These skills are learnable, and it's very much worth it. According to MIT research, soft skills training returned 250% return on investment in less than a year. So work on being thoughtful, understanding of others, and communicating well. You can do this by reading books, attending seminars, watching courses. But most importantly, take every chance to socialize, because through practice is how you learn best. The second insight here today is another aspect that distinguishes us from machines. Namely, the fact that we have relationships with each other. Because it's one of our most basic need to connect with one another. Case in point, the cradle of AI, Silicon Valley of all places. If you take a look at who receives capital for their ideas and who makes things happen, you'll see that it's a powerful network of many of the same people, commonly referred to as the Silicon Valley Mafia. Because of their relationships, they have access to capital, and they have, access to the political establishment and other influential persons. Members include Elon Musk, mega investor Peter Thiel, and LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman. Together, they created some of the most successful companies in the world. Having relationships will be crucial because our world is increasingly complex and fake, and that is psychologically challenging. So we need support and others with whom we can come together. It's not for nothing that we're seeing an epidemic of loneliness. Connections with others provide us with support, with information, and also with guidance. And since everything is connected with everything, it's never been more important to get an understanding of the big picture, to develop an awareness of emerging trends. You can't get this knowledge only from theoretical sources. It's the exchange with people that gets us a wide-angle view and enables us to connect the dots. Particularly relationships with people from different professional, social, and cultural backgrounds expand our horizon, fuel our creativity, and makes us aware of new opportunities. And also, we must stay vigilant to remain relevant professionally because times and developments progress so quickly. To that end, it's important that we continuously innovate ourselves just like companies do. Here's what this means for you. Be your own chief networking officer and build a network of resilient relationships. Also, ever so often, put yourself in unfamiliar circumstances with new and different people. That way, you expose yourself to the unexpected, to coincidence, and to chance encounters. Always remember that you might only be one person away from a life-changing opportunity. The third and last insight is the importance of human communities. They will remain a source of togetherness, joy, and power that machines won't be able to replicate. Communities form in any area of life. It can be conferences like this one, or it can be communities, for instance, in the arts or in sports. The fact that conferences have been thriving shows that people have the inherent desire to congregate and connect over shared interests. They bond over time spent together in workshops, at cocktail parties, and dinners. Here again, COVID was a litmus test. As soon as restrictions were lifted, people literally stormed conferences. Meanwhile, online conferences faltered despite the fact that they are more convenient and less expensive. Or take the arts. People gather in museums, in concert halls, and theaters. Sitting alone in front of your computer, attending a gallery opening in the metaverse, or watching a concert online just doesn't cut it. Undoubtedly, AI can write impressive poetry, it can compose music, and it can create artwork. Regardless of whether AI is creative in the true sense of the word, its outputs are clearly the result of algorithms, and algorithms lack emotional engagement. True creativity that we embrace is produced by other human beings. We cherish the human creative spirit and want to relate to creators on a human level. It's the human interest stories, the narratives that captivate us. Consider Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa or the Banksy art that's mysterious. Same in the performing arts. Take the Taylor Swift phenomenon. Hundreds of thousands of Swifties regularly come together to celebrate their star among like-minded people. They could watch her videos online in the comfort of their own homes, yet they're willing to pay high ticket prices for the personal experience. Actors are an attraction for the same reason. Sure, the craft of acting is the foundation of the performance, But what people bond over is the stars' humanity, their feelings, their heartbreaks, and their triumphs. Who's getting what role, who's dating whom, and who's wearing what. Sports is yet another example of our need to come together, either to play it with others or to support our teams. If the European Soccer Championship were played by robots, would you follow it, let alone with excitement? Or how interesting would Wimbledon be if it were played by robots? We are tribal and aspirational, and we want to relate to people who we see as our representatives and to whom we can look up to. When you hear names like Serena Williams or Cristiano Ronaldo, you don't just think of their athletic achievements, but their human spirit, their personal stories of defeat and victory. Machines don't have convening powers. They don't bond, they cannot bond, and they certainly don't excite the masses. Therefore, be proactive, build your own community, and become involved in groups. Communities form on any level of society, and the blueprint is always the same. It can be a meeting of tradespeople in a small town, a student body at a university, or like-minded individuals who join a sports group. It can be you and your people. To wrap it up, we all will have to work with technology more and more, regardless of our professions. So we all have to continuously work on our technological skills. That can be daunting, but that's a given. But don't let fear get in your way. Disruption is your friend. It creates endless new opportunities in virtually every job. And the best way to seize those opportunities is your human essence, your human relationships, and your human communities. Thank you.